Both ready, aye, both fine.
Got a Guardian bashing it away.
Yeah, I've done a wee bit of that, yeah. Wouldn't bash your own stuff, though, would it? Okay, that sounded wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, can that be the opener, please?
There's the start of the podcast, yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah, may as well start with a joke about wanking, yeah, why not?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Rose? When we're going, we don't need roads. Snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes?
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Batman. I am the father.
Yes, I was starting to panic because it just literally wouldn't pair. It kept saying that it couldn't find the device, and I was like, because you had sent the message to say the StreamYard was live, and I was scared I was going to miss it.
So good. So good. We're waiting to see you.
Thanks, I appreciate
John
it.
didn't,
Well, especially
John
because
didn't, John didn't want
Yeah,
to.
I didn't wait. I've already started, yeah.
That was that's not nice. You know,
That's a bit cruel, yeah, but it's accurate but cruel, yeah.
accurate but cute, is that me?
That's
Not cruel.
Well, I mean, I'm excited. We're all the gang's back together. I can't believe you would start without me.
Yeah.
Our
Needs
listener
mastering.
can't see you, but I'm doing a petted lip.
Our listener will be glad we're back.
I know. What have they been doing with their time? Just sitting hitting refresh on Spotify and Apple Music, like, come on, guys, come on.
Maybe just kind of you could just ready to hit the bottle and just like ruin their life because they've not got the.
Yeah, I'll take a deleted scenes. I'll take anything you've got.
Even checking the Twitter, nothing's been tweeted. You know, rattling back and forth.
Sending out a welfare check to make sure we're all still alive.
Yeah, like train spot, and I seen John crawling over the ceiling.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Moviescramble podcast where we've not seen stuff.
Yeah. Surprising.
That's usually my job, in fairness. You guys have seen it. I was trying to explain this to a colleague today. I was like, well, basically how it works is that John and Sammy take the piss out of me. I usually end up saying something that will never stand up in court. And also they've seen everything and I've seen nothing. And occasionally I think a whole bunch of films are Mel Gibson's Maverick. And that's pretty much it.
Recipe for success.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're still going, so.
Yeah, true.
Have you guys been in the office today or working from home?
I was working from home today.
I'm home most of the time. Although I was in on Tuesday, we had an all-day meeting thing, which was fine. It was all right. Started like at 10 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't like too onerous. And the day passed fairly quickly because I'm not in all the time. It was quite good. How many days are you in at the moment, Mary?
I've done, so the past 2 weeks has been 3, and it'll be 3 next week as well, because I was in on Monday, so I was in the office for 6 o'clock on Monday morning for Professor John Curtis to come in and do a little bit of chat, which was good, but I was knackered. But the only thing is, like, because we're on the 8th floor and our windows are like floor to ceiling, they don't open, obviously, in case, I don't know, someone has a really bad day and decides this is it. So it's been a bit of a sweatbox this week, I won't lie, because it's been like 21, 22 degrees and it's just glass. The office has been very, very hot. So I'm actually really looking forward to working from home tomorrow.
It's interesting though, that's the preventive measures that companies will do to tackle somebody's mental health. We're going to stop you killing yourself.
We've glued the windows shut.
We're not going to do anything to try and improve your mental health or, deal with that aspect of things. We're just going to take preventive measures. You're welcome.
I know. You and your family are welcome that we have, essentially glued the window shut. So, it's been absolutely roasting. And obviously, with the more bodies that are in the office, the hotter it gets. So, I'm really looking forward to working from home tomorrow.
So, Mary, what have you been watching and listening to and reading and whatever?
So, I must admit, the reading list is a lot longer than the watching list. And I'll condense the reading list because otherwise we'd literally be here listing books for now until eternity. But what I've really enjoyed in terms of books recently has been Notes on an Execution by Dania Kafka. It's sort of told from different perspectives about a man on death row, essentially waiting for his last day. So well written, and it was one of those ones where it did kind of keep you guessing as to how it was going to finish up, so that was good. I read The Survivors by Alex Schulman, which I believe is being adapted into a film starring Gustav Skarsgård. I think that's in the works. The Rabbit Factor and The Moose Paradox by Antti Tuomainen, who's a Finnish writer who is basically like reading the Coen brothers. It's very offbeat. There's lots of dark humour, lots of surprise deaths along the way. And I also believe they're being adapted into films starring Steve Carell. So we'll see how this goes. I read The Witches of Vardo by Anya Bergman, which is good, nice and spooky. The Mysterious Case of the Alberton Angels by Janice Hallett. I've been reading a lot of Ben McIntyre. I really like his, obviously, non-fiction historical works. Really, really good. And I managed to get myself a signed copy of Joe Nesbo's latest book, which I pretty much couldn't put down over the space of like 48 hours, which I really enjoyed. I'm glad that Harry Hole is back, but I really hope they don't make any more of them into films, because as we know, that was a bit of a disaster. I don't understand the logic. It's book 7. I've no idea why you would just launch right in like halfway through. Anyways, I'm not going to go on my soapbox about that because I'll take up a whole pod in itself. In terms of what I've watched, I've obviously, like every other human on the planet, watched the last season of Succession, and it broke my heart into tiny little pieces, stamped all over it, set it on fire, and then gave me it back. So that was just, I think, one of the best conclusions to a TV series I've ever seen. Like, they kept throwing loads of new stuff into season 4, and I couldn't quite work out how they were going to tie it all up, but it was tremendous. I've also watched the Valhalla Murders, which was just a Scandi detective thriller, which was good. Eurovision Song Contest. Obviously, Finland were robbed. I've also started watching this Walter Presents TV show on More 4 called I've Killed My Husband, which essentially is a French cop drama, but there's lots of elements of like psychological horror, like kind of thriller moments, we sort of surprise like jump scares in it, which I'm really enjoying because it elevates it beyond the bog standard, you know, she's killed her husband sort of thing. So that's been really good. In terms of films, Sisu, obviously, which we'll discuss. I watched The Happening on Mubi. I've been watching Decision to Leave and Deliver Us from Evil. I watched the Muppets movie, thanks to the Well Good Movies podcast. And the film that I keep coming back to that I've watched a couple of times now is Holy Spider, because I just can't get it out of my head. And I think it's one of the best films I've seen in quite a long time. So, as I say, my reading list has been significantly longer than my watch list of late, but I've been selective in what I've watched, apart from Eurovision, obviously, which is just pure trash from start to finish, but in a good way.
It was quite entertaining this year, actually. I watched it. I watched the semi-finals and
Yes!
the final this
Did
year.
you? Did you actually?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I love the semi-finals. They're so... Iceland were robbed in the semi-finals. They should have absolutely been in the final. Obviously, I went to my pal's house party and we were all dressed up as different countries and stuff like that. So it was really good. But I definitely think Finland were robbed. And there's loads of conspiracy theories on Reddit now about Sweden winning it because it's ABBA's 50th anniversary of winning it. Like, honestly, people are very dedicated to their Eurovision, so it was good fun. But excited to talk about the film.
And the conspiracy theories as well. Yeah.
What country did you go as, Mary?
Spain. I had one of Chris's old retro Spain football shirts, and I had a big red and yellow floral headdress, and I had a little fan that my mother-in-law brought me back from Villaseca, so that was my contribution to the Eurovision night. I'm really worried now that I've said this that someone's going to accuse me of cultural appropriation.
But look at your last name, come on.
I know, that's true, I was just representing, so.
You have Mexican. Yeah.
That's a fairly comprehensive list.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Simpson? What have you been doing apart from obviously all the other things that you've got in your life? So
yeah, a lot less entertainment-wise than Mary has. I did watch Succession as well, and I agree. I did think this season, I wouldn't say it dragged a wee bit, but after the big event, halfway through the season, I kind of felt, I don't know if it feels like it's been padded out a wee bit, but because it didn't feel like it was wrapping up. They just seemed like they kept bringing new stuff in. But at the end of it, that last episode, and yeah, it was a brilliant conclusion. It was great episode.
It's rare for me to be so invested in something where I'm literally like, jaw on the floor sort of thing. That was a jaw on the floor moment. And I also thought that what I didn't realise was, obviously I knew the connection between Succession and the menu and the shared sort of writer-director thing there. I also didn't realise that the actual overall creator and writer of Succession was the guy that wrote Peep Show. I only found that out like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, Jesse Armstrong.
Yeah, I didn't join the dots at all on that one.
Interesting. But aye, so it's a Succession. I finished Barry, and that's that done there as well. 4 seasons. Season 4 was good. Again, the ending of that, did not expect it. A great ending. It was the weakest of the 4 seasons, but it was still good. Still a great show. Highly recommend watching that. Film wise, I've been watching a lot of really bad Bigfoot films on Amazon Prime and YouTube. I watched one called Bigfoot Wars, which was all right, and one called Primal Rage, which was actually pretty decent. It was kind of almost like a cross between, imagine the Predator was Bigfoot, or Bigfoot was a Predator. That was not bad. Also been watching some terrible found footage films throughout May. Went to see the new Fast and the Furious, which was absolutely outstanding. It's brilliant.
Are you being sarcastic or
no? Because I didn't like the last one. I put the last after 7. You could tell it was starting to run out of steam. It was run out of gas even, but it was getting really poor. And the 9th one, I'm just end it. End this franchise. It's no fun anymore. This one was. Jason Momoa should get the Oscar. I'm not even joking.
has he got dad bod?
No. Well, he's been on a shirt for most of it, so it's hard to tell.
Oh, sad.
What else? Book-wise, I read a really good book called Taking Shape about the Halloween franchise, and the production of the films and the script, and it was really, really good. Really a lot of good insight. And I'm currently reading a horror book just now called Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. And that was actually a self-published book that really took off and has been adapted into a film in the near future.
Wow. Oh, wait a minute. I think I've seen this in the table in Waterstones. Actually, has that ended up in that name rings a bell? What's the cover like?
It's like a painting, like cabin in the woods. You see a kind of shadowy figure walking towards it.
I feel like I definitely recognise that from somewhere. But that's good. Self-published, then made into a film. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. The guy's done really well. I've done some audiobooks recently as well. Got my Audible subscription back. Listened to John Ronson's Lost at Sea. Was it Tales at Sea? I can't remember, but it was all short articles and stuff rather than big over arts and book. And some of the articles were better than others, but overall it was still very, very good listen. I love his voice as well. It's just very easy. We listened to books as well. Big Video Hendrix with Sold Our Souls and Horror Store. Sold Our Souls was okay, but Horror Store was really good about rival to IKEA. So it was basically meant to be IKEA, just different name in that. It was a kind of horror comedy set in essentially IKEA.
I mean, I'm interested. Okay.
Cool.
That's pretty much for me, yeah.
Excellent. For myself, book-wise, because I've been away on a couple of wee trips, I managed to spend a bit of time reading some books, which I've not had really the chance to do. So I managed to read a couple of, well, what I would term classics. I think other people may disagree. They're not actually classics. I reread Diamonds Are Forever, the Ian Fleming book, which is very good, but it's a little problematic given some of the content of it, some of the things that they talk about. In a similar vein, I read Iceberg by Clive Cussler, which was one of his early Dirk Pitt novels, and that is very problematic indeed because there's a transgender character in it, and basically he beats the shit out of them at the end of the book, and you're thinking, okay, and it's really kind of rough, but it's a good story. I didn't really remember it. It's been like 40 years ago since I actually read the story itself, but that was pretty good. And I also read Cinema Speculations, the Quentin Tarantino book about his early life, the films that kind of informed his youth and all that. And it's really, really good. He talks about these films from the 70s, and it's basically, you're reading it and you should have a pad and a bit of paper and a pen beside you, just writing down all these films. Oh, I've never heard of that. It's all, it's really good. So it basically makes out that all he did when he was young was go to the pictures all the time with his mum, or he went himself and all this, and just the insights into the various films is just fantastic. It's really, really good. Telly-wise, same as yourself, watched Succession, really enjoyed it. I've started watching Barry. I'd started it years ago when it came out, and then for some reason just sort of drifted away from it. So I've started that from scratch again, really enjoying that. Just going through the first season of that. Henry Winkler is just
He's amazing in
fantastic.
it.
The acting coach in it is just brilliant. It's just so funny. There was one bit where he said he was doing a play with a bunch of cokeheads, and it was a long journey's in tonight. And he says we got it down to 38 minutes, and it's a 3-hour play. It is, I can't remember anything about it.
That is good.
It was
I
just
can't remember the name of the
brilliant.
actor, but the guy that plays Noho Hank, he's outstanding in it.
Yeah, it's just excellent. So many like really good rounded characters in them, and they're all just like totally outrageous, pretty much all of them. So they're really good. What else have I been watching? I've watched all of Luther because obviously the film had come out on Netflix and I had not seen any of Luther. So basically watched 5 seasons of it just over the course of maybe about a month or so, watching it every other night. And that's really good. It's really dark stuff in that sometimes. And it doesn't go to the kind of places that you think it's going to go as well. Idris Elba is just absolutely fantastic in the role. He's brilliant. So really enjoyed that. Been watching.
Did you enjoy the film?
I've not seen the film yet. This is the next thing. It's on my list to watch. So it'll be
I did
the
the
next
same
week or
thing.
so. Watch it.
I hadn't really watched much of it. I went and binged it, then watched the film. But I'm looking forward to your thoughts on it.
All right. Okay. Nice one. I've started watching Silo on Apple TV Plus. It's based on a series of science fiction books about people who are basically living in this silo. They've been there for 100 odd years and they don't know why they're there. They don't know how it was built. And all they know is outside's poisonous and they can't go out. And there's like 10,000 people in this silo. And like a murder happens and there's all sorts of stuff kicks off now. And it's one of these productions. It's like, it looks like a film, basically. It's basically like a 10-part film. I think it's 6 episodes in now and it's really, really good. Rebecca Ferguson is sort of leading on that one. It's excellent. And also The Big Door Prize. I don't know if either of you have seen that. It's also on Apple. That's about like a sort of Midwest American town, just sort of normal sort of place, and this machine turns up at the local grocery store and it basically spits out what your potential is, and all these people start going nuts over it because like they get things like actor and royalty and all this sort of stuff, and it's just how the people in the town react to that. Again, it's based on a book. Hadn't read the book or anything, but the series is really good. It's excellent. It's only like 30 minutes an episode as well, so it's like very, very watchable. Last couple of things. The Diplomat on Netflix. Kerry Russell drama where she's a CIA operative and she becomes the ambassador to the court of King James in London, and it's got to do with the sort of political crisis, which is actually really funny. Rufus Sewell's her husband in it, and it's just fantastic.
I like him.
It's excellent. And the last thing is the new drama called Citadel on Amazon.
How is that?
It's pretty rubbish. It's enjoyable rubbish, but it is pretty rubbish. The storyline you can kind of get with, but it's reasonably well acted. It looks brilliant. All the money is up there on the screen and everything, but it's kind of seen it before. But this is meant to be part of a sort of Citadel shared universe. There's going to be other programs made, like there's going to be an Indian version of it as well, and I think we were talking about a German version or a Spanish version. It's all in the works, and it's all to do with different elements of this whole thing. Citadel is a secret organization that gets just about wiped out by this other organization, and it's okay. I'll give it a chance. I've only watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes of it, so I'll give it a chance on the rest of it. It's fairly decent. Movie wise, let me see what we're watching. I saw The Flash, and it is brilliant. Excellent. It's really good. I was skeptical because obviously the whole thing with Ezra Miller and like obviously it's been a bit of a trouble production anyway. Just it's been stopped and started a few times. But is it Andy Muschietti, guy who did the It films, has directed it? Yeah, and it actually comes across. I know James Gunn didn't really have a hand in this because this has been kind of on the go for a while. But there's a few wee elements in it you think they've taken a leaf out of the Guardians films for it. It's really funny. There's loads of really, really good action scenes in it, which I thought, wow, it's really good. The one, but it starts off with this big action scene where basically the Flash is complaining because he's having to like clean up. He's having to do the janitorial work for Batman, who's busy like blowing up buildings and all sorts of stuff when he's fighting villains, and it's really good. Ezra Miller is excellent in it.
Do you know what?
It pains me to say that, but he is. He's really good in it.
It's one of these films where I think it's really splitting fans v critics, because everything I've seen on Twitter has been super, super positive. And then just this morning, I saw a 2-star review from The Guardian, which said it was bloated. So I think this is going to be one of these real divides the audience type film.
Did The Guardian review start off with, first off, I hate superhero films. I haven't seen any of the DC things. I don't even know who the Flash is. Is it Flash Gordon? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
And Ezra Miller is cancelled.
Yeah. It makes really good use of the multiverse. And it explains it. So I won't go into any details whatsoever. But
I've not even read it. I've been avoiding as much as
the explanation of the multiverse and how certain things have come to pass, like about halfway through the film, it's just fantastic. And it involves use of food, and it's just brilliant all the way. It just and the various people it's in it. Some of them we know about because they've already been mentioned in like the trailers and some of the press about it. Obviously, Michael Keaton's in it, and he's really good. But there's a few other bits in there as well, which again won't spoil. You should just watch it. But there's some really, really fun bits in it. It doesn't take itself overly serious, but it's a really, really good action film, and it's a really good superhero film as well. It was not what I was expecting, so I can see why they're using that as the sort of relaunch of the whole DC thing. They're going to take off from there. So, pretty decent. I also saw The Little Mermaid, which was okay. It was fine. It's a good film. It's well made. I realise I'm not the target audience for it, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was fairly decent. I had no problems with the mermaid not being white, which honestly, still a lot of people are, But
if you can believe in fucking mermaids, like what does it matter what fucking colour they are? Yeah, honestly, exactly, yeah. I'm more upset that for some reason they've given King Triton a shirt. Wasted opportunity.
Yeah, he was really good in it. Old Javier.
Of course he was.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because when they're underwater, they've obviously all got long hair and it's all flowing about in the breeze and all that. There's a couple of scenes where they poke their head above water and they just look like drowned rats because all this long hair is all just hanging down beside them, which is quite funny. The last couple, I saw the Transformers Rise of the Beasts film, which is pretty boring, to be perfectly honest. It's the same sort of robots versus robots with humans to the side of it. Story isn't brilliant. They're obviously trying to reboot it. And with the new sort of Transformers they've introduced into it, they've introduced them in such a way that they've been about for thousands of years. And then you've got to say, well, why are they not in any of the other films since this is a prequel? Because it's set like in the 90s and just, There's lots of, in other circumstances, we call colourblind casting, but they've gone out of their way to make sure that there's a lot of non-white casting in this film. And it's obvious why they've done it. They've just done it to try and make a point, not because story demands it or it's just a good idea. They've had a writer's room discussion about it and says, right, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to represent. And it's like a big sort of hip-hop soundtrack and everything like that, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but it's a bit rubbish. And there's a very clumsy attempt to set up a Hasbro cinematic universe as well, which I don't know if that will work. Well, I think it will go forward because these films seem to make money no matter how bad they are. But
is it G.I. Joe by chance?
How did you guess? Yeah.
Why does everything have to be a cinematic universe? Like even what you're saying about Citadel, why can't we just have a one-off? Like, why does everything have to be connected? Honestly, no, I'm not going to get on my soapbox about that either because it's pissing me off now that everything's so obviously franchised and merchandised out of its tits. Like, you can't just have like a standalone something.
Do you know what annoys me about it? Is the fact that they call everything now a universe rather than just a crossover or a spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Hobbs and Shaw, part of the Fast universe. No, it's no. Spin-off.
Yeah.
I love said that, honestly, I would love you to just like storm into the Guardian offices and be like, no, it's no, fling their paper back at them.
But you say that, but supposedly the next Hobbs and Shaw film is going to follow on directly into the next Fast and Furious film.
I mean,
So you're going to have to see that to
these are
understand.
characters from
I know.
Fast and the Furious. It's not like they've got these other characters for another film and then they'd cross them over at some point.
Mhm.
They're just characters for that film and standalone.
Yeah, to me that would be a spin-off because you've taken the characters sort of out of that universe and put them in something. Yeah, to me that is a spin-off.
Yeah, and also there's a whole thing about The Rock and Vin having put their differences, but apparently they put their differences aside last summer.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were still going on about how they weren't going
I'm
to
sure they
he
still
wasn't
hate each
part
other.
of it, like till like pretty recently.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody originally was on the Rock side because the Rock and seems like the nicest guy in Hollywood. Then with the Shazam stuff that came out, everybody was like, you know what, maybe Vin Diesel had a point. But now apparently Vin Diesel's beefing with Jason Momoa. I'm like, maybe they're just dicks.
I know, is it possible there's too much alpha, in inverted commas, energy going on in that film set? I think everyone needs to just chill the fuck out a little bit.
Too much
Yeah.
testosterone. Just, I mean, honestly, if you get a chance to watch it, just do what Jason Momoa's doing. He's having fun. I've never seen an actor. He's having so much fun in that role. It's incredible.
I'm going to see it tomorrow. Going tomorrow night to see it. So
Did you see 9?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Come on. I've seen them all.
I really enjoyed 10, but I have questions, and I'll talk to you about it after you see it.
Cool. Right. I look forward to that. And that's pretty much what I've been watching. There's other stuff. There's loads of other stuff as usual, but
I should also like to point out that John and I, not together, but we did both as a cultural experience, both went to the opera. It was my first time. Popped my opera.
I've seen that.
mhm.
It was
And
lovely.
you
It was
enjoyed it,
very-
obviously.
Oh yeah, it was very emotional. I was surprised at how emotional I felt by it. Just because obviously it's music that you're familiar with. So we went to see Carmen because I picked that because I thought at least I'm familiar with the music, if not the actual story. And so yeah, it was wonderful. And although I did have to stop myself from going, that's the Formula One music at one point.
So
Of
yours,
course it's not.
I'm sitting here talking about watching a film called Bigfoot Wars, the opera.
Yes, I didn't have any posh glasses though.
I should have. I did actually. I had posh glasses watching Bigfoot Wars.
Honestly, Zoe, how do you find this shit? Like, no offense, but just what deep recess of Amazon have you gone to find this? Is there a section that's just called Simi will probably watch this, and it's just a collection of shite?
We only needs to watch some shite, and then the algorithm just picks up on it and says,
Like,
"If
Yeah,
you like
I'll do
this,
that.
we've scraped this off the floor for you."
I mean, Amazon know me well. I did actually watch another film as well. We Still Kill the Old Way. It was a very low budget British gangster film. These old school, like craze style gangsters going to war with these like Neds, basically. It was actually all right.
It's a sequel, isn't it? Because
No,
there was
there's-
one called. Was there not one called "We Kill the Old Way"?
We Kill the Old Way is the first one. We Steal the Old Way is the sequel.
Ah, right, okay.
It was
Nice.
fun. Is it
Who was in it? Anybody just
Some
the
big Game
usual
of
sort of
Thrones was in
British
it.
sub?
Aye, but you'd recognise some of the actors, fair enough
Yeah,
stuff, but no household names as such. But it was entertaining enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen worse films.
That's not a good enough benchmark from you.
Mario, I just touched the topic Garden review because it was linked. I don't trust reviews anymore. Don't get me wrong, I'll still Google like, for Rotten Tomatoes, like an idea, just so the audience
Yeah.
score instead of a score of both. Although I'm like, yeah, I'll leave it. But as a contrast, I'll think about it. The reviews for Mario, I just don't understand what people were expecting. I don't mind people saying, I thought the film was a meaning. I like films that say something, but see you're writing the review and the film isn't what you wanted it to be. That's not a fair review.
Yeah.
It's people got to see Mario saying, I mean, I can see why kids would like it. It's a kids' film. There you go. Shut it. There was one review I read, I think it was a Guardian, and it was basically, I can see why it appeal to kids and fans of the game. That's who it's for.
Yeah.
It's not for your casual. I mean, something I just said, and there's a lot of Easter eggs. I'm sure fans were like, "Yeah, what's your point?"
Whatever happened to understanding that you're not the target audience, but appreciating the art, as it were? Why? What has happened to the viewing that you're right? It's literally become well, I don't like this and this wasn't meant for me, so 1 star. That's it.
I'm sure in The Guardian they just have a hat. You have to choose, right, who's going to do the bad review. Right. Oh, I've got the bad review of Transformers to do. Mind you, the good review wouldn't have been much better. But you know what I mean? If there's a 2-star review, you can almost be guaranteed there's going to be a 4-star review as well of a film there. So doesn't make much sense. That's us. Done. That was pretty good.
I'm
Pretty decent.
so sorry. My laptop has just been an absolute nightmare. I had to put I think that's why the headphones weren't connected either. So I had to do like a whole restart thing, and I had to force a reboot of it earlier today, and it's been going mental. So like I had stuff open at the side, and it was like moving of its own accord. So there was like IMDb flying across the screen. My Word document with my stuff that I'd watched was popping up and down. Then you guys kept freezing, and at some points I couldn't hear you, and I was just like, "Oh fuck this!" But we got through it.
Yep. Excellent. So we'll need to have a think about. I would like to try and get something done maybe next week if you can manage it. You know, just try and do it a wee bit more regularly, and it'll push me to actually editing them a wee bit more quickly as well. So have a think about what you've seen, and we'll try and come up with some consensus about what we can watch next. But if you want to do the Hitchcock one next, that's fine. We can.
What did we say we were doing next on that?
I can't remember.
It'll be in the chat somewhere. No, absolutely could do that, and I'm happy to do. I think we should do one next week because I'm going to be away for 2 weeks after that as well. So I want to get something done so that we've got.
Brilliant. And then we can do one. We can do a couple when Mary's away. We can talk about man films.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably these two today were man films.
Oh, so. Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
are you allowed to say that anymore?
Yeah. Probably not.
No, probably not.
No. I'm going to take a picture when I get to Helsinki like this, going, it does exist.
No, it'll be fake news. You'll be sitting in your back garden with a backdrop.
I know, this is the thing. I'm now got convinced that we're going to get on this ferry and it's going to take us through some sort of like Bermuda Triangle where we think we've hit Finland.
Yeah.
And if I don't see Sisu while I'm there, I'll be disappointed.
Definitely.
It's probably a good thing if you don't, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because he might beat me up.
Okay, Doc, I'll end the broadcast there. That's us done.